Announcements, none. Papers. Papers have been laid. Questions?
Madam Speaker, to also Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Home Affairs, External Communication and National Development Unit, Minister of Finance and Economic Development, whether, in regard to the takeover of the Apollo Bramwell Hospital, he will A, for the benefit of the House, obtain from NIC Healthcare Limited information as to 1, gross and net proceeds from the disposal thereof after deduction of all costs accrued since April 2015 to date. 2, reasons for the aborted sale thereof to Omega Arc Limited. 3, name of the notary public whose services were retained for the disposal thereof, indicating the fees payable thereto. And 4, value ascribed thereto in their books. And B, state if we will consider appointing a commission of inquiry to look into the whole matter.
Madam Speaker, I refer the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to the reply I made on the 31st of August 2016 in my capacity as the then Minister of Finance and Economic Development to the P&Q of his predecessor, the then Leader of the Opposition, on the same subject. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition was then the Deputy Prime Minister and was party to all Cabinet decisions on matters pertaining to Apollo Bramwell Hospital. Madam Speaker, in 2015, the Apollo Bramwell Hospital, along with the other entities in the BAI group, were faced with a big financial crisis. The hospital was unable to meet its financial commitments that could have led to its closure, with the consequences that some 700 employees would have lost their jobs. Government decided that its priority was to save the jobs of these employees and that the best option was to sell the hospital as a going concern with the condition to maintain the employees in their jobs. In the transition phase leading to the sale of the hospital, government had set up the NIC Healthcare Limited to oversee its day-to-day operation. The NIC Healthcare Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of the National Insurance Company Limited, which is under the aegis of the Ministry of Financial Services and Good Governance. The sale of the hospital was finalized in January 2017 to the Medical and Surgical Center Limited, a company within the Ciel Group. Madam Speaker, as regards part A1 of the question, the gross proceeds from the disposal of Apollo Bramwell Hospital business, excluding buildings and associated infrastructure, was 700 million rupees. As regards the lease of leasehold land and hospital buildings, the lessee has to pay an annual rent of 60 million rupees. The net amount after the deduction of all costs accrued since April 2015 to date is 77.2 million rupees. Concerning part A2 of the question, the sale to Omega Arc Limited did not materialize because the buyer could not mobilize and transfer to Mauritius by the due date the required funds to pay for the acquisition. As regards part A3 of the question, it is the practice for the buyer to appoint the notary, and the buyer appointed notary Wenda Sominaden. The fees were paid by the buyer. With regard to part A4 of the question, the value of the leasehold land and hospital buildings in the books of the National Insurance Company Limited stood at 2.5 billion rupees. As regards part B of the question, no government can run a country by having constant recourse to commissions of inquiry at the mere request or on the mere insistence of the opposition from any quarter. In fact, gratuitous allegations, baseless criticisms and innuendos, disinformation and distorted facts, and sheer demagogy are certainly not elements that can even remotely justify the setting of such a vital commission as a commission of inquiry. There are no substitutes to evidence. It is therefore not proposed to appoint a commission of inquiry on this matter.
Speaker, I was indeed a member of cabinet, but not a member of the kitchen cabinet. So let's continue on that path. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether the figure that he gave, 700 million rupees, includes we have, Madam Speaker, the nation wants to know what happened with all this, and this is why I'm asking. Now, we are talking about 700 million rupees of down payment for the sale. Are we to understand that the 77 net that is finally received, which will go to the super cashback gold, that includes all payments made to MRA and MPF, etc., for the period? Or does that include the 50 million to be paid to MRA?
Madam Speaker, I know of only one cabinet. Now, maybe since...
Honourable Jagru, now don't start making provocations.
Maybe since he's having a new partner, now he knows of a different cabinet. Now, with regard to whether payments have been made to banks and MRA, let me say that an amount of 59 million rupees has been paid to State Bank of Mauritius, and an amount of 59.3 million rupees has been paid to Mauritius Revenue Authority. Now, there are two other financial institutions, MoBank, which has been refunded 165 million rupees, and National Residence Fund, which has been refunded 68.1 million rupees. Now, there has been also a repayment of advance that was taken in order to operate the hospital in the meantime. Now, from State Bank, a refund of 33.6 million rupees.
Speaker, the Prime Minister has asked for evidence. I'm going to table a copy of a deal between Megacom, a company called Megacom, and Omega Arc, which in fact agrees to pay, Omega Arc agrees to pay to Megacom upwards of 90 million rupees, Madam Speaker. And it says to Megacom and its stakeholders. So we want to know who is Megacom and who are the stakeholders. And this is what Megacom has promised to do. It has promised to facilitate the deal. I'm going to table this, Madam Speaker. Yep. It has promised to liaise with government bodies. It has promised to coordinate, to consult, to assist the company in every way possible so that this deal can happen. And I would like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he is aware of this, and now that he is aware of this, what is he going to do about it?
Can we ask you to table the document, please?
Madam Speaker, que choc? Tu veux gagner choc? Tu veux gagner choc, non?
Please don't make provocations. Yes.
I must take cognizance of that document because I'm not aware about this document. Now, whatever happens between a private company, Omega Arc, and other people, I cannot answer for that. I can only answer for government's business with regard to the sale of Apollo Hospital.
Government's business when it is to facilitate a deal between government and a private company. So, Madam Speaker, I'm going to ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether the whole thing has dragged on for about 20 months, from the date, April 2015, to final sale in January 2017. 20 months. And the reason for that, the main reason for that, will the Honorable Prime Minister agree, was that Omega Arc was given preferred status and was facilitated all the way so that it could achieve its deal, and in the end it couldn't come up with the money. And will the Prime Minister agree that the big error was to allow...
One question at a time, please.
Will the Prime Minister tell us why Omega Arc was given every facility in the way that it has been given?
Madam Speaker, Omega Arc was not given every facility. It was in the normal course of things that when the transaction advisor recommended that the preferred bidder is Omega Arc, then of course there were discussions as to how and as to how they would proceed in order to obtain their permits, licenses, and so on, so that we could finalize the deal. That was it. Now, they were given time in order to effect transfer of funds. They were given till the 21st of October 2016. That was the deadline. I am informed that they were not able to transfer the funds to Mauritius and to effect the payment of the purchase price. Therefore, government then decided that we should rescind the asset purchase agreement, and then we moved on to the next stage.
Madam Speaker, as you will know, it is normal practice to, and this was also raised by the previous leader of the opposition, to ask for proof of finance, proof of funds, before even someone is given preferred bidder status. And it is a fact that BDO, the transaction advisor, from October 2015 onwards, was chasing Omega Arc for this proof of funds, and this was never received, and this requirement was waived consistently by...
Ask your question.
Madam Speaker.
No, don't make a long statement. Please don't make a long statement. Ask your questions.
Well, Madam Speaker, I can say that NIC had requested for Omega Arc to show evidence of funds, which they did. In fact, they had communicated documents from banks, if I can remember, probably from Singapore, and the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is aware of that. He was a member of this government, and when government agreed to the proposal of NIC to go ahead with the signing of the asset purchase agreement, he was part of this government.
Speaker, if you want me to say what actually happened in Cabinet, you'll be very surprised, and I don't want to get into that.
Leader of Opposition, please, you won't be allowed to say what happened in Cabinet.
Very good memory on that.
Madam Speaker, let me say one thing. I have replied. I have not mentioned what happened in Cabinet. I have said he was part of the government. Discussions took place at the level of government. I have not mentioned Cabinet.
You want me to say what happened at the level of government? I don't think you would. Now, Madam Speaker. I don't think you would. Madam Speaker, because I can. You just challenge me.
Down, please, on this side of the House.
My evidence is that from October 2015, proof of funds were required from Omega Arc. It did not submit. It was requested to submit a deposit of 10%, $6 million, in December 2015. It never gave the deposit. Question. Again, Madam Speaker. It was asked.
Now, can I
this amount. I have to say.
Now, don't take my prerogative. It's for me to say whether the Leader of the Opposition should not make a long statement and whether he should come with a question.
Madam Speaker, I can put it in one question, but it's the same subject. It's a waiving of these requirements, which would have shown clearly that Omega Arc never had the money and they were merely courtiers. This is my point. Now, I finished on this question. Therefore, it was requested again to give only 200,000 rupees, $2,000 deposit, And it never did. Why? When the alarm bells were ringing from 2015 until now, was all these requirements waived by NIC Healthcare Limited? Why? Is it because of the letter from Megacom which was facilitating all the time? That's my point.
No, Madam Speaker, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And I say again that there was no facilities which is abnormal that was given to Omega Arc. In fact, as I have stated, they were the preferred bidder. They had proposed a sum which was in excess of the others. And I will also refer, maybe not refer, remind the Honourable Leader of the Opposition of a cabinet decision whereby letter of cabinet communique, which is public and everybody can have a look at the communique, dated the 15th of July 2016, which says that the letter of agreement has been signed by NIC Healthcare with Omega Arc Investments PLC for the sale of business of Apollo Bramwell Hospital. And an asset purchase agreement would be signed shortly. Now, all this time, we didn't hear about Belgacom or Megacom or whatever come. He was not coming at all. He was not forthcoming at all. It's only now that we hear all sorts of allegations, and to me they are. Well, if you have any information you want to point at me,
address the chair, please.
I am taking the information, Madam Speaker. I don't know what happens in the kitchen. I have never been there. Now, Madam Speaker, why a gentleman called Lakshmi Prasad, chairman of NIC Healthcare Limited, why did this gentleman write to Omega Arc by himself without getting any advice from the transaction advisors? Why did he write to NIC Limited, to Omega Arc, waiving, Madam Speaker, the requirement for the escrow account? And I will table that. And this is what it says. We have taken notes of your points raised to have an escrow agreement. At this stage, we are not insisting on the escrow agreement. And we found out, Madam Speaker, that all this time the taxpayer, Super Cashback Board, was subsidizing the hospital to the tune of 20 million to 30 million rupees per month.
Let me just give an information with regard to funds. On the 15th of August 2016, NIC Healthcare Limited had received confirmation from a reputable investment bank, that is the Crédit Industriel et Commercial in Singapore, that both Omega Arc and its chairperson have substantial cash and bankable assets. Now, with regard to the escrow account that the Leader of the Opposition is mentioning, I again say Cabinet, in fact government, decided that they should transfer the funds by at latest 21st of October 2016. They were not able to do so, and therefore the agreement was rescinded.
There must be some confusion in the minds of the Honourable Prime Minister. We are talking about an escrow account since 2015, which was consistently waived, not just at the end there. Therefore, why did Mr. Lakshmi Prasad give the answer? Why did he himself, by himself, waive, or did he do it by himself, waive that requirement as specified in that mail which I have just tabled? Why did he do it?
Well, I have already answered, Madam Speaker. When the transaction advisor had recommended Omega Arc as the preferred bidder, then we of course started all the procedures in order to see to it that they would acquire this hospital. But again, the fundamental point was that they were not able to transfer funds, and therefore the deal didn't go through.
Speaker, I just want to, time is going by. Will the Prime Minister table a copy of the financial proof of finance that he's mentioning from that bank, Crédit something?
I don't have the documents, this information with me. But I will seek advice, first of all, and if need be, I will do so.
Madam Speaker, I want to ask the Honourable Prime Minister concerning the value of this hospital now in the books of NIC. It is being rented for 60 million a year. Any child who knows anything about valuation will tell you that this building now is not worth more than 600 to 900 million rupees. So that means that the taxpayer will have to fork out the difference between 2.5 billion, which you just mentioned, and the 600, which is now valued. That is 1.9 billion rupees, which the taxpayer will have to fork out to make up the loss from this mismanagement.
Madam Speaker, that valuation that appears in the books of the NIC, it falls under the purview of the Ministry of Financial Services. And, you know, for any transfer of undertaking, when you look at the Insurance Act, let me quote Section 110B, which says, subsection 1, a special administrator shall, after consultation with the Commission, transfer in whole or in part the undertaking of an insurer or any of its related companies to such insurer and any of its related companies as the Minister may approve. Now, the then Minister did approve. The then Minister did find it fit that the value of this concern was... Shut up, dog! Shut up, dog!
Calm down. Please calm down. Can you please sit down for me? Honorable Madam, I have called you 3 times. Please calm down on this side of the house. Honorable Madam, you are not allowed to say that the Honorable Prime Minister is lying. You can say that his argument is not correct. So you said mentir. Please withdraw this word and we'll continue. There's nothing dishonorable in withdrawing this word. You say that his argument is not correct.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order, the Honourable Prime Minister can't just stand there and say things which basically are not correct and cannot be substantiated. I don't have an opportunity to answer what he's saying.
Please calm down. Calm down. Honourable Badat, please calm down. Honourable Sudan, why is it that you are provocating? I'm trying to calm down the House. And now, I'm going to remind honourable members. I'll come back to the point of order of Honourable Badat, but I'm reminding this august assembly, all honourable members, that you are being watched live on TV, and that the population will judge you on the quality of discipline that is in this House. Honourable Badat, I have said that you cannot say that the Honourable Prime Minister is a menteur. This word is unparliamentary. Withdraw this word and say that his argument is not correct. That is it. We won't lose the time of the House. Please say so. Please say so.
Oh, Madam Speaker, what he's saying is certainly not correct. Whether he has the mens rea to lie or not, I don't know. So I'm withdrawing the word liar, but he is misleading the public.
Yes, you were...
Madam Speaker, he has to withdraw unconditionally. Otherwise, I'm not going to vote.
No, Honourable Leader of Opposition, please. Now, calm down. Honourable Leader of Opposition, have you almost reached the end of your PQ? No, you've got more questions.
I tell you I'm finished, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wanted to ask an old Prime Minister, who appointed Notary Wenda Sominaden? Was it the buyer, as he seems to be suggesting, or in fact, it was NIC Healthcare Limited itself, and I will table evidence to that effect.
Madam Speaker, it is the practice in a sale for the buyer to appoint the notary. And in this case, the buyer appointed the notary.
Mail. Dear Fadil, I think it was the chairman of something, we wish to inform you that the board of NIC Healthcare Limited, this meeting held today.
Honorable Leader of Opposition, please, why are you getting excited with me? Calm down, please, calm down. Calm down. Honorable Leader of Opposition, I just wanted to know from which document you are reading.
Tabling from a mail, Madam Speaker.
Okay. But then we have to see whether the Honorable Leader of Opposition, please table the document. Table the document right now. Take the document to the table, Madam. Yes.
You did not hear? Did you hear the question?
I heard, of course I heard. But Madam Speaker, I don't know what is contained in the supposedly mail. Anyone can recommend anybody. But at the end of the day, it is... Let me answer. Are you going to answer for me? Tu peux répondre à mon place, toi? Mais comment répondre? Laisse-moi répondre.
I just drew your attention. I know you are very passionate about it, but please calm down. Please calm down. Yes. Honorable Prime Minister, did you have any reply?
I was saying, Madam Speaker, anyone can recommend anybody, but whatever it is, but it is for the buyer. If the buyer wants to appoint a particular person as notary, as a notary, then sans rôle toi.
Yes. Allow the Prime Minister to reply. You are nearly finishing now.
Then it is for the buyer then to choose whoever it wants to appoint as notary.
Properly. But will the Prime Minister confirm that the fees, according to the Notaries Act, which it says here, are to the order of 7 million rupees payable to this notary, Wanda Saminaden?
Well, I believe that they have abided by the law as it is prescribed in the law, the fees that has to be paid. I don't have the information about how much fees has been paid, but it is Ciel who has paid the fees and not government. So, what is it?
Shakil Mohammed. Honorable Shakil Mohammed, you don't have a question.
Concerning, Madam Speaker, concerning the notary's fees and the email that was just put in by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, can he confirm that even the asset purchase agreement that government had authorized the signature thereof between Omega Arc and NIC Healthcare, since it was approved by government, that from that very day onwards, it was the notary Wenda Sominaden who was retained by NIC Healthcare, who was on the case until she was paid between 7 million and 14 million rupees.
I have information with regard to the sale between Apollo and the Ciel group. I don't have the other information. Of course, I can look into it.
Honorable Bader.
Madam Speaker, will the Honourable Prime Minister confirm to the House whether he has met Mr. Manoj Dansa, the courtier of Megapro
names,
and who has negotiated the 4% commission, who has negotiated the 4% commission in the Prime Minister's office, in the office of Mr. Prakash Mantura, and whether he will investigate that and come before this House and tell the truth to the public, because at the end of the day, the commission of 4% was an essential element of the deal, and that's why Omega Arc was reimbursed $200,000, which he has not stated to this House today.
Okay. Madam Speaker, these allegations from the leader of the Pepsi party are gratuitous, and I challenge him to say this outside the House. And say this outside the House. And then you will see, Ashley. And then you will see. And then you will see what metal I am made of.
As you have pointed out to me before, I would very humbly request the Honourable Prime Minister to withdraw the words Pepsi Party. But in any case, he hasn't answered the question.
See, you don't
he hasn't answered the question, so therefore, I'm not allowed to stand. You can't stand. Sit down.
Order, Honourable Sudan. I have drawn attention.
He has not.
Please calm down. Please calm down. Okay.
He hasn't answered the question, so I'm going to table a document which basically shows that Omega not only had negotiated the purchase of Apollo, but also Mobec. And this is addressed to his ministry, to his financial secretary. I'm tabling the document. And there was a commission on Mobec as well.
Okay. Yes. Please sit down, Honourable Member, sit down. You have to reply.
Well, let me, you don't want me to say. Again, let me say that these are gratuitous. Yesterday you were licking my hand and other parts.
Oh, no! No! Honourable Badan, this is totally unacceptable what you've done. It is unacceptable. I have to order you out. Honourable Badan, I have to order you out. I order you out. I have to order you out. I think that, please sit down. Please sit down. I think you have been, Honourable Badan, you have been in this house for 2 years now. You should know that obscene gestures are not acceptable in this house. The whole population has seen what you've done. This is totally unacceptable. I order you out. This is totally unacceptable. No, I order you out. This is totally unacceptable. Order, please. Order. Please, turn down. I order you out. Honourable Badan, I order you out. Totally unacceptable what he's done. Don't discuss. Please order him out. You have to order him out. Unacceptable. Honourable Badan out. Calm down now. Calm down now. The last question is for Leader of Opposition. Last question is for you, and time is over already.
I have to
yes,
answer. I have to answer to the last allegation.
Please.
Let me.
You haven't replied.
Let me answer.
He hasn't replied.
But you put a question. Your partner has put a question. Now, I say this to the opposition. If they are serious, let them. I will invite the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to make a declaration. Rekai Moustache. Rekai Moustache.
I'm sorry. Yes. 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 Time is over. Time is over. Please calm down. Calm down. Calm down, please. I have to suspend. No. Finish. No. Calm down, please. Time is over already. Time is over. No. We've gone over this. Honourable Leader of Opposition, please sit down. Please sit down. Honourable Leader of Opposition, please sit down. Please sit down. Please sit down. I'll suspend the session. If you continue, I'll have to suspend. If you continue, I will have to suspend. You want me to suspend the session? I suspend. Okay? I suspend the session.
10 main recommendations, which are as follows. First, borrower and guarantor should be provided with a copy of the loan agreement prior to the signing of the said agreement. This has already been implemented. Second, borrower be given a délai de réflexion of 10 days as well as a délai de rétraction of 10 days. This recommendation has already been adopted. In fact, commercial banks are giving up to 3 months for délai de réflexion, and in the case of délai de rétraction, following his acceptance to the facility offer, the borrower is given a delay until the date of disbursement. Third, clients to be informed regularly of outstanding amount. This is already in force. Fourth, application of Article 2002(6) of the Code Civil Mauricien to be in conformity with Article 1154 of the Code relating to capitalization of interest. This has been implemented in the Finance Miscellaneous Provisions Act of 2016. Fifth, the Borrower Protection Act to cover all loans secured on immovable property contracted for a residential purpose. The first schedule of the Borrower Protection Act was amended by way of regulations to increase the maximum sum under a credit agreement from the previous limit of 2 million rupees to 3 million rupees. Therefore, all credit facilities up to 3 million rupees will fall under the purview of the Borrower Protection Act. 6. To replace the Office of Commissioner for the Protection of Borrowers by a commission. This recommendation has not been retained. 7. Who have lost their residence by the system of sale by levy. This recommendation is being considered in the context of the budget exercise. 8. All loan agreements secured on immovable property should be by authentic deed. My ministry is presently having consultations on the secured transactions reforms, which will entail amending the Code Civil Mauricien and the Code de Commerce. This proposal will be considered within that reform. 9th, the family residence should not be given in guarantee of loans except when the loan is for the purpose of purchasing land to erect the family residence or the improvement of such residence. This recommendation will also be considered in the secured transactions reforms. And 10th, to replace the current system of sale by levy by a system in line with international best practice. The Attorney General's Office is currently looking into the process of the sale by levy at the Master's Court with a view to bringing necessary amendments to the Sale of Immovable Property Act. In parallel, the Bank of Mauritius is enlisting the services of a consultant to assist in the setting up and operationalization of the asset management by the end of the year.
Next question, Honorable Bhagwan.
B289, Madam.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the State Investment Corporation that Mrs. Bivi, acting as Managing Director of the corporation, draws a monthly basic salary of 123,895 rupees as Group Corporate Secretarial Manager and an acting allowance of 55,000 rupees. She is entitled to benefits in accordance with the terms and conditions of employment at the corporation, namely traveling 11,133 rupees, driver allowance 8,659 rupees, car allowance in lieu of company car 40,792 rupees. I am also informed that Mrs. Bivi has attended only one overseas mission in June 2015 on behalf of Mauritius Duty Free Paradise Company Limited, namely the Tax Free World Association World Exhibition in Cape Town. She was provided with an economy class ticket and a per diem of $2,760 US dollars by MDFP. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I am informed that Mrs. BV sits on the boards of 35 investee companies. 35 investee companies. In accordance with the corporation's policy, all directors' fees from investee companies are paid directly to the corporation. SIC officers are in turn paid a fixed monthly directorship allowance by the corporation. Mrs. BV is accordingly paid a fixed monthly directorship allowance of 50,000 rupees, thus bringing her total current monthly remuneration to 289,479 rupees compared to 263,188 rupees in November 2014.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I asked a question on the same person on the 40th 14 juin 2016. Can the Minister of Acting the Prime Minister inform the House what action has been initiated to have this post advertised and filled?
Well, I stated at that time that there was a study that was commissioned by Deloitte firm, and I understand that there is a draft pre-final report that has been submitted, and I understand that the final report will be handed over quite soon. So we are waiting for this report because it concerns the restructuring of the SIC.
Can the Prime Minister inform House whether his ministry has received representation from the employees, not only of the SIC, but also bodies where this person, Mr. Hasami, is a representative concerning the arrogant attitude and also the repressive attitude towards workers, whether, especially the casino workers, whether he has received such representation, whether he has been able to talk to the person concerned.
Well, I can't recall having received any representations in the form of, I suppose, in the form of letters. I can't recall, but I'll check if there is.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I understand it, Mrs. BV was appointed Acting Managing Director of SIC following the departure of the former MD. Now, can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House of the salary and fringe benefits of the former MD for comparison purposes?
Well, the former MD at the time from 2006 to 2014, the total was 416,075 rupees. But on top of that, with unlimited petrol allowance, company car, driver, and security officer that was also attached to him. And also, I must say that he went also against the, contrary to the regulations of the SIC, whereby director fees have been paid also to him in certain cases. Of course, we have to compute that amount, but from what I can recall, I don't have the exact information, from what I can recall, the SIC had requested the former CEO to refund that amount.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We heard the Prime Minister say that Mrs. BV sits on some 30 or 35 investee companies. My question is this practice a new practice of sitting on investee companies, and if not, whether the predecessors of Mrs. Beevy were also sitting on investee companies, and if yes, how many investee companies? Thank you.
Yes, they have been sitting on the number of investee companies also. In fact, if I have the information. Mr. IMH has been sitting on 49 boards, and formally also there has been a CEO, SG, who has been sitting on 53 boards.
Can we, Prime Minister, has his attention been drawn? Has the attention of the Prime Minister been drawn, and also Minister of Finance, that this person authorized the organization of Jeux d'écart, a big tournament, sort of tournament, at the casino of Grand Bay, whereby more than 1 million Indian rupees was seized and still there without being able to be exchanged in terms of other currencies, and this money is lying there, 1 million Indian rupees.
Madam Speaker, I mean, the honourable member should come with a specific question, because this relates to the salary and fringe benefits of the Mrs. Bibi.
Next question, Honourable Shakti Mwami.
B290, madam.
Madam Speaker, as the request made by the honourable member involves all ministries, departments and parastatal bodies, the information is being compiled and will be tabled as soon as I have all of them.
I thank the Honourable Prime Minister for compiling. Normally compiling is done for a lot of volume, but thank you very much. With regards to this particular issue, there is one company which I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister a question about, and it falls within the ambit of the question itself, which is the SIT Property Development Limited, and the appointment of notaries for SIT PDL, which is a subsidiary of the Sugar Investment Trust, for Auréa Morcellement project at Côte d'Or Highlands. Is the Honourable Prime Minister aware that an evaluation committee was set up under the chairmanship of the chairman of the board itself, whereby the evaluation exercise was to be carried out for the choosing of notaries? 3 notaries were chosen. But in spite of the finalization of the choice of those 3 notaries, there was an emergency board that was once again called by the chairman. I'm asking a question. Is he aware? Let me put the question. And there was then a new notary who was appointed, Wenda Sominaden, in going against the choice of the evaluation committee. Is he aware of that?
Speaker, the honourable member, let me say first of all, the question that I had received, I don't know where it went wrong. The question that I received was different from that one. But anyway, when I received the modified question, of course I had requested, can you imagine there are so many ministries with all the departments, there are maybe 100 parastatal bodies. I have requested them to furnish all this information with regard to notaries. And obviously, till today, in a short span of time, I am not able to get those information. But I will do so once I have them, and I will table them. Now, I will look into the specific question that is being asked by the honourable member.
Yes, Honourable Shakamami, priorities.
With regards to Auréa, Côte d'Or, Bois de Nat, and Bois de Chandelle, the 3 morcellements of SIT property development, again, because I'm referring to what the Honourable Prime Minister said, that normally it's the practice that the buyer decides who the notary is. And I thank him for having said that earlier this morning. Is he aware, and I will table this document, that in the case of those 3 morcellements, there is a letter from SIT Property Development Limited this year itself, that imposes upon the buyer the choice of notary already designated by SIT Property Development Limited, and funnily enough, the notary that they impose upon the buyer, here the buyer has no choice, it's Mrs. Wenda Sominaden. Is he aware of that? And I tabled this letter? And could you explain why is it being imposed?
Well, I have replied that I don't have the information. I will look into that once they will send me this information.
Madam Speaker, I'm picking up from where Ms. Honorable Shakil Mohammed left with regards to notary Wenda Sominaden, and this time again with regards to a parastatal, and which was the subject of a press article of Sunday Times of 16th April 2007, whereby the current managing director of the NHDC admitted that Ms. Notary Wenda Sominaden has beneficiated more contracts than others. Now, my question is as follows. Has there been a change in setup at the NHDC? I was formerly managing director, and we had called for expression of interest.
I don't provide information. Answer question.
Has there been a change in procedure and setup at the level of the NHDC to favor some particular notaries?
I will look into that, Madam Speaker.
Next question, Honorable Shakil Mohammed.
Thank you, Madam. Coming back to, we'll leave the issue of the NHDC to later on, but since we'll wait for the compiling of the voluminous documents, but what I'd like to ask is the following. With regards to Auréal Promotionnellement Project Côte d'Or Highlands again.
Order.
Please.
Madam Speaker.
I'll take your point of order at the end of the session, unless it is urgent and it is related to what...
It relates to that question. Madam Speaker, so far as I understand, and I'm under your correction, supplementaries should relate to the main answer. And in the light of the answer given by the Honourable Prime Minister, we are now asking questions, and I think that it is not in order. And since the Honourable Prime Minister stated that informations are being compiled, there should not be any other. And I did not want to give the impression that I am just preventing supplementaries, but it should relate to the main question, and the Honourable Prime Minister stated that these are being compiled.
Please sit down. Honourable Hussain, it seems that you are giving me a lesson, and I won't accept that. I am sorry, I won't accept that. I know what I have to do, and I don't want you to draw my attention. I've several times said that supplementary questions, the content of which should come from the main question. I know that, and I have the right to choose which question to accept and which one not to accept. Next question, Honourable Shakil Mohammed.
Next question. I hadn't finished that last question, Madam Speaker.
No. I said next question, B291, I believe.
Oh, fair enough. Question. So B291. Fair enough.
Madam Speaker, investment migration is a relatively new concept which has been brought to focus around the world towards 2006. Programs designed under this concept aim at attracting foreign capital and business people by providing them the right of residence or citizenship in return. The requirements of these investment migration programs and the residence status that is granted to investors differ from country to country. Some countries grant full permanent residence as part of their programs, whereas others only grant conditional residence. However, most of the investment migration programs are structured in such a way as to ensure that the investors contribute to the welfare, advancement, and economic development of the country in which they wish to reside or obtain citizenship. During the past years, as governments around the world have introduced different investment migration programs, interest among potential high net worth migrants has increased significantly. Growing private wealth in emerging economies has fueled demand for residence rights and citizenship abroad. Motivations range from the desire to secure a faster or easier route to settlement abroad, gain greater access to visa-free travel, or to establish residence in a low-tax jurisdiction, amongst others. Madam Speaker, the following schemes have been introduced in Mauritius over the years to attract foreign investors and professionals. In 2002, the grant of residence permits to non-citizens under the Integrated Resort Scheme. In 2006, the grant of occupation permit to foreign investors and self-employed non-citizens. In 2006, the grant of residence permit to retired non-citizens who transfer from abroad a cumulative amount of $120,000 over a period of 3 years. In 2007, grant of occupation permit to foreign professionals. In 2009, the real estate scheme and the Invest Hotel scheme. In 2012, the permanent residence scheme for 10 years. In 2015, the property development scheme and the smart city scheme. And in 2016, the Non-Citizens Property Restriction Act was amended to allow high net worth foreigners to purchase apartments which must not be less than 6 million rupees. Madam Speaker, I am tabling the detailed information on these schemes so as not to take too much time of the House. Madam Speaker, these schemes have contributed to the opening up of the economy and have had a favorable impact in attracting foreign talents and investors and to spur growth in several industries and businesses with the creation of direct and indirect jobs. The benefits of opening up the country to investment and talents are multifold. By attracting investors and professionals to Mauritius, the country has gained in terms of increased foreign direct investment, transfer of technology, new talents and expertise, new startup companies, increasing consumption, a boost to real estate and other economic activities, increasing tax revenue for government, and more international visibility. Madam Speaker, in the government program 2015-2019, it is mentioned that government would formulate a new immigration policy and reinforce the Immigration Act to cater for increasing cross-border movement of persons and its associated risks. In this context, following a request from my office, the European Union agreed in July last year to assist Mauritius in the preparation of a national migration and development policy and plan of action under its Migration EU Expertise Programme. This exercise will not only review the existing schemes in respect of investment migration, but will also look into the links between migration and development in a holistic manner in order to harness the potential of migration towards achieving an all-inclusive sustainable development. And in this connection, a scoping mission made up of a team of 4 experts deputed by the European Union was carried out from 30th of January to 3rd of February 2017 to collect accurate information and obtain a solid insight of government's vision and priorities in the field of migration and development. Subsequently, a situation report is in the process of being drafted following consultations held with all stakeholders during a workshop which was conducted by the European Union experts on 19th and 20th of April 2017. It is expected that the National Migration and Development Policy and Plan of Action will hopefully be finalized by the end of this year.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Could the Honourable Prime Minister consider the following? In the whole process of reviewing immigration laws and statute following his answer and the role of the European Union, could he consider the possibility of turning one's back from the actual process, which is where the Prime Minister of the Republic of Mauritius has the sole discretion as to decide who obtains nationality, but to move it to a more structured approach where it is not the Prime Minister anymore who will have that sole discretion, but it will be based on guidelines, statute, and rules in order to avoid perception of corruption or wrongdoing.
Well, there are guidelines, but of course we will look into that. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Concerning foreigners who have spent a certain number of years in the country and contributed to the various sectors of the economy in various forms, can we know from the Honourable Prime Minister whether the Board of Investment is envisaging the possibility of granting a special scheme targeted to this specific group?
Well, I have mentioned a number of schemes that already exist. Now, as I say, the European Union is carrying out this study for us and will make recommendations. Now, if need be, probably what I see is probably we will have to streamline the number of schemes that we have for foreigners and make it more simple and also reduce the number probably. But this is my own opinion. We have to look at it in the light of the recommendations that will be made. But I must say at the level of the BOI also, I have prompted them to have a review of the different schemes and to come up with suggestions, because in the light of the forthcoming budget, if ever we can maybe streamline and we can include new measures.
Madam Speaker, this question in fact deals with the acquisition of a second citizenship. Now, the Honourable Minister has mentioned a number of schemes starting with the IRS scheme in 2002. Is he in a position to tell the House with regard to all these schemes that he has just mentioned, from 2002 to 2016, the number of non-citizens who have adhered to these schemes and have been granted second citizenship, Mauritian citizenship?
No, Honourable Ganu, the question relates to the developing of a new structured investment migration policy. The information you just asked is maybe the Prime Minister won't have this information right now because it doesn't fall within. You can come with a substantive question on this issue. Honourable Shakir Mohammed, you have it.
Prime Minister answer, perhaps he has the answer, Madam Speaker.
Well, there should be I have been provided with information. Number of applicants approved under Section 9 of the Mauritius Citizenship Act, naturalization I have it from 2000 to 2017. I can table it, or you want me to read? I can table it, yeah.
Could the Honourable Prime Minister, in developing this new scheme with the European Union and all the stakeholders under the aegis of his office, could he consider the possibility of, or consider the option of, if ever there is the possibility of buying or purchasing a second citizenship or passport, that this also could be done with two provisions, that this does not allow automatically the right to vote, or the right to buy property like any other Mauritian citizen would be entitled to it. Therefore, a different citizenship which would not put fear in the minds of Mauritian citizens and change the electoral composition of our country. That's...
Well, as it is today, in line with our provisions of the law, when you acquire citizenship, you are as equal as any other Mauritian citizen. That is, you are able to vote also. Now, if we have to look at a different scheme where you have a different status for a foreigner, of course, we will look at it. Probably the recommendations of that study will tell us.
Time is over. The table, honourable members, the table has been advised that PQB 300 in regard to kite surfing will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Tourism. PQB 304, in regard to the importation of live cattle, beef, goats and sheep will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Agro-Industry and Food Security. PQB 332, in regard to the social register of Mauritius, will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Social Integration and Economic Empowerment. PQB 353, in regard to the relocation of the inhabitants of the EDC at Rivière-des-Galets, will be replied by the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Housing and Lands. The table has been advised that PQB 307, B 329, B 334, and B 343 have been withdrawn. PQ82 has also been withdrawn. Honourable Akbar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B296.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the Ministry has not received any representation from the inhabitants of Vale in relation to the relocation of the Vale community, the CHC, to new premises. However, the land on which stands the Vale CHC belongs to the Vale Village Council, and my Ministry has been requested to relocate the services to another site in view of the proposed construction of new village hall. An exercise is presently being carried out by my Ministry for the rental of a new building to relocate the CHC.
Yeah. May I request the Honourable Minister, who I know is not a substantive minister, to kindly, through the substantive minister, to please kindly request the Ministry to, if there is a possibility, we earmark funds to construct an appropriate community health centre at the Vale with all the amenities, please.
Okay, I will pass on the message, but I will give the other information to the Honourable Member that the tender were launched in 17 February 2017. Closing date was the 22nd of March, and the file has been sent to the Departmental Bids Committee for the nomination of the bids member. So it's ongoing for the rental of the new building. Maybe for the other requests, I will pass it on to the member.
Next question.
B297.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the Ministry of Health and Quality of Life is really concerned about the problem of synthetic drugs and is sparing no effort to fight this scourge which is threatening the health and well-being of our citizens, particularly our youth. Prevention remains one of the pillars in the fight against substance abuse, and the collaboration of all stakeholders is of utmost importance to succeed in such endeavour. The Ministry of Health and Quality of Life is actively involved in an extensive drug prevention campaign on three major fronts targeting, namely, the students, youth in general, the community at large, and at workplace. I'm informed that since 2016, several initiatives have been taken by the Ministry of Health in collaboration with local authorities on the issue of drug prevention, including synthetic drugs. Namely, the District Council of Rivière-du-Rempart has organized stakeholders consultative meetings, following which a series of prevention activities has been finalized for implementation as from April 2017. A sensitization of employees of the District Council of Rivière-du-Rempart, advocacy sessions with village councillors of Rivière-du-Rempart. The Ministry of Health and Quality of Life has conducted advocacy sessions with councillors of District Council of Mocha in 2016, as well as with the District Councillors of Savane in 2017, in view of seeking their collaboration to facilitate implementation of prevention programs at village levels. Following this, several awareness sessions have been conducted in community centres of the region of Savane. In collaboration with the municipalities of Beaubassin-Rosil, Port-Louis and Quatre-Bonnes has also been sought for implementation of prevention activities regarding substance abuse. Awareness session for the employees of Municipal Council of Port-Louis will start in early May 2017.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Quality of Life and other stakeholders, embarked as from October 2016 on the innovative project Caravane de l'Espoir to sensitize the youth through plays and sketch on the harmful effects of drugs use and drug addiction. The Caravane de l'Espoir was launched in Port-Louis North and was extended to other regions such as Sainte-Catherine, Saint-Pierre, and Rosehill. The program is ongoing and will be carried out in different parts of the country to create awareness on the drug problem.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister mentioned activities organised by the Rivière-du-Remport District Council. May I once again request the Honourable Minister, through the Substantive Minister, to look into the reason as to why a representative of the Harm Reduction Unit of the Ministry was not present during the last 6 consecutive meetings that were held on this issue of synthetic drugs at the Council of Rivière-du-Remport. Thank you.
Okay, I will look into the matter and pass on the message.
Thank you, Madam. I would like to ask the Minister whether there is research being done at the level of the Ministry of Health to find out about the composition of synthetic drugs.
I guess lots of research has been done, is being carried out, and you know that synthetic drugs, they are reinventing every day what they are using, what they are not using, but now we are using, the sensitization campaign is working very well so that we can discourage the youth especially not to go into that kind of drugs.
Speaker. The question is about the fight against illicit consumption of synthetic drugs. I know the Minister is not the Substantive Minister, but is he aware or can he pass on the message to the Substantive Minister about whether any survey has been carried out to know the extent, the number of consumers of those synthetic drugs through the use of school, NGOs and hospitals, just so that we have une idée de l'étendue du dégât surtout parmi les jeunes.
Okay, I will pass on the message to the Substantive Minister.
Yes, thank you, Madam. Since the victim of the synthetic drug is of very young age, has the Ministry worked on a rehabilitation program?
Actually, the question is not what we want to do is to prevent. This is why we invented the Caravane de l'Espoir, and it started in your constituency. Unfortunately, you were not present. And you were invited because the Deputy Lord Mayor, who is a member of your party, came to replace. And this is where we started with the Caravane de l'Espoir to give the information through sketch how harmful this drug can be. And can be, sometimes we've seen youth losing their life as well. So we are working towards that so that we can really prevent the youth going towards this kind of drugs.
Madam Speaker, could the Honourable Minister, once again, I realize he's not the Substantive Minister, but could he consider going along the same line, since government clearly has retracted from their disastrous policy under the former Minister of Health of stopping methadone and of shutting down Natreza? Could he also could look into the possibility, or at least inform the Substantive Minister, of the need to forge forward and really leave the disastrous measures of the former Minister and the government by reopening something which is better than Natreza and ensuring that there is no increase in illicit drug consumption in Mauritius because of the disastrous policy of this government when it comes to drugs consumption?
Actually, this government is really having a big fight against drugs. And whatever needs to be done to stop this drug problem in Mauritius will be done by this government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the Honourable Minister tell the House if the government is coming out with a depenalisation or legalisation of cannabis? View a lot of youngsters getting killed nowadays by synthetic drugs.
The Honourable Member, this is something for debate. But, you know, when I was Minister of Youth and Sport, we started the fight against cigarette itself. We are asking the youth not to smoke cigarettes, and now you're asking them to go and smoke ganja.
Next question, Honorable.
298.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that on the 22nd of October 2016, the Ministry of Housing and Lands vested a portion of state land of the extent of 952 meters square in my ministry for the construction of new community health center. The present community health center is accommodated in an old building of 186 meters square on a plot of land of 545 meters square, and the remaining 407 meters square of the land is occupied by the Civil Status Office. Since 2016, the Civil Status Office has been relocated elsewhere. The whole plot of land has now been vested in my ministry. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure and Land Transport carried out an initial survey on the site on the 9th of July 2015. It was found that the building was in a deteriorated state, and it was recommended that the building should be pulled down and a new community health center constructed. The construction of the new community health center at Grand Bay has already been included in the public sector investment program. Budgetary proposal has been submitted for the project for the forthcoming budget exercise 2017-2018.
I suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours.